The New Adventures of He-Man, with a new theme but keeping the same continuity of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series, ran in syndication in 1990 for the first time. This series was intended to be the continuation of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series in 1983, which, as we all know, is the most successful animated series made by Filmation, and She-Ra, Princess of Power, 1985, which was about He-Man's twin sister who had similar powers. In He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, our beloved blonde hero has to leave Eternia and go to the future, where everything is more scientifically advanced, and continue his battle against his archenemy, Skeletor. Now, before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Brief history of the New Adventures of He-Man. This series was produced by Jetlag Studios instead of Filmation, and most of the episodes were written by Jack Olesker. The change in production companies led to the animation being of a much higher quality. Still, due to the change in voice actors, the shift in tone and change in animation style, it created a sense of disruption for the fans of the original series, which partly led to it never being revived. But the DVD release was received as warmly as honey in 2006, even though it had originally not been received well by the fans. The series was created to accompany Mattel's toy line He-Man, which consisted of mini-comics with the toys. The storyline of the mini-comics was a little different from the series' story. The series consisted of 65 episodes, and He-Man was the main character along with his nemesis Skeletor. It ended with only one season, and Jack Olesker said that the second season would have featured He-Man returning to Eternia. I wonder how it would have played. I guess we'll never know. But if you have any theories, comment below. Let's have an introduction to a few of the characters. He-Man Prince Adam, voiced by Doug Parker as Adam, Gary Chalk as He-Man. He-Man is our blonde hero, defender of the planet Eternia and the main protagonist of the show. He is the son of King Randor and Queen Marlena. He can turn into a very powerful hero by raising his sword into the air and shouting, "By the power of Eternia, I have the power!" He is called forth to Primus to fight against evil mutants and their leader Flogg, who want to take over Primus. He-Man has to constantly defend Primus and its resources from repeated attacks from the evil mutants and Skeletor. If you're wondering who Skeletor is, we will take a look at his character next, but for now, let's find out how this version of He-Man is different from the original series version of him. He-Man's power had been given to him by the sorceress of Castle Grayskull, and his phrase for his transformation from Prince Adam to He-Man was, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power!" He also had a timid green tiger named Cringer, who transformed with He-Man into Battle Cat, an armored green tiger. This character is missing from the New Adventures of He-Man. In the original series, Adam is portrayed to be lazy, cowardly, and fun-loving to keep his identity as He-Man hidden. Skeletor, voiced by Campbell Lane. Skeletor is He-Man's nemesis. He is from Eternia and is brought back to Primus accidentally, along with He-Man. Skeletor wants to conquer and rule the entire universe, and upon reaching Primus, he forms an alliance with Flogg and his henchmen. He offers to help Flogg defeat He-Man in exchange for teaching him the ways of this new galaxy he has found himself in. In the original series, Skeletor is shown to be extremely intelligent and well-versed in black magic and combat fighting of all sorts. He was extremely devious, and his main goal was to gain victory over Castle Grayskull, which would allow him to not only gain control over Eternia, but the rest of the universe too. In this series, his character is very sarcastic, which provides an uplifting tone to tense situations during or after intense combat scenes. Master Serbian. Master Serbian is the leader of Primus, and he is also the most knowledgeable and wise man on the planet. Guardians is supported by Master Serbian ardently in the Planetary Council. He also helps Adam hide his secret identity. He says that Adam is his nephew and a merchant from the floating city of Levitan, and he opens his home to He-Man. Master Serbian makes decisions for the defense of the planet, working closely with the Inner Council, the ruling body of Primus, as their mental energies keep the protective shield around the planet. He was also able to talk to the Sorceress, being the only other person to be able to do so apart from He-Man. He was assisted by his student Mara, who, on occasion, piloted a starship. Master Serbian is peace-loving and provides He-Man with his sage advice before He-Man goes on missions. Evil Mutants of Denebria. Flog is the leader of the mutants. Slushhead is the second in command of Flog and also the co-pilot of the mutant mothership. Other frequently known mutants are Hoove, Karate, Staghorn, and Butthead. Galactic Guardians. And Galactic Guardians are a group of people who have their own unique skills and abilities. He-Man teams up with them to protect Primus from evil mutants. Here's a brief introduction to them. Spinwit is a warrior who can initiate tornadoes by spinning. Vizar is a warrior with powers of sight. Ko is a space warrior and space pilot from Honor. Nocturna is a martial artist and master of stealth from the eastern continent of Maida. Hydron is an undersea commander and the captain of the starship Eternia. Sagittar is a horse lord, a former slave in the mines of Denebria and nemesis of Staghorn. His species can turn into centaur-like creatures and humanoids with 4 arms. Flipshot is a space pilot from Levitan. Artilla is a weapons expert who is also a cyborg. Tuscador is an intergalactic merchant warrior with tusks on his elephant-like armor that he uses to capture enemies. The Scientists. The 4 greatest inventors on Primus, who are intellectual but always bickering amongst each other while providing comedic relief. Their names are Alcon, Geppel, Krex, and Meldok. Geppel is the creator of Geppel Goo, which is a slimy goo that is used to trap in many episodes. Synopsis of the first few episodes. Honestly, I keep having flashbacks of my old computer with Windows XP, and I keep thinking how good the animation is for a cartoon from 1990. Anyway, let's dive a bit into the first few episodes of this series. 1. A New Beginning. The series' opening episode starts with Drissy and her little brother Kaz in the field. Drissy can telepathically control creatures, and she tends to the animals on the planet of Primus, which is part of a tri-solar system, which always makes me wonder how strong gravity is over there. Anyway, Kaz seems eager to learn telepathically controlling creatures and to do other cool stuff. Drissy gently tells Kaz that she'll teach him when he's older. The next scene is of great importance as Kaz says he wants to learn things now so that he can fight the evil mutants. Drissy reassures him by telling him that they're protected by a shield that's around the planet and will protect them and that they have nothing to fear. The next scene is just a complete shift from the setting of a calming field to a rather fast-paced scene. Flog of Denebria, the leader of the evil mutants, telling the mutants to attack Primus. This makes the shield weaker and weaker because the evil mutants repeatedly attack the shield. Master Serbian, the leader and the wisest man of Primus, runs the Inner Council. He tells the Inner Council that as their numbers weaken, they need to change their plan. He reveals that they have created a time vessel, which will allow them to bring back the power of good and the way of the magic to the future and help them fight the evil mutants. The Inner Council permits Master Serbian to do so. Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot journey to the past via the time vessel. They land in a muddy pond on the planet of Eternia, but they must hurry as they have a short period of time to find the hero that Primus needs and bring him back to the future. No pun intended. When Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot get out of their ship, they are captured by one of Skeletor's henchmen, Andros, and brought back to Snake Mountain, located on the dark hemisphere of Eternia. Meanwhile, somewhere else, He-Man is visited by the sorceress in a vision, and she tells him that he needs to save the future. He-Man, visibly confused, says he has friends and family here, and besides that, he belongs in the past, so how can he save the future of humanity? The sorceress reveals someone is already there looking for him. Skeletor is informed that there are two men who claim they're from the future yet have no weapons that they could protect themselves with, which Skeletor sees as an opportunity to fool Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot and say that the hero they're looking for is none other than Skeletor himself, so he can go to the future with them and rule over Primus. Skeletor succeeds in convincing Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot that he's the good they are seeking, and they all return to the time machine. Prince Adam, our part-time hero who saves planets in his free time, bids adieu to his parents, King Randor and Queen Marlena, after telling them he will miss them, but as he is doing so, the sorceress appears once again and tells him that she was right, but Skeletor is trying to fool the people from the future that he is He-Man. This makes Prince Adam turn into He-Man, shocking his parents, but they are also incredibly proud. The sorceress assures them that Eternia will be a Skeletor-free land soon. When He-Man appears before Captain Hydron, Lieutenant Flipshot, and Skeletor as they're about to leave, he tells Skeletor that Skeletor is a fool for thinking that he could pose as good. They start fighting as Skeletor attacks He-Man using his staff. Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot are confused as they see both Skeletor and He-Man as powerful, but they struggle to decide which one is good. They are met with another problem. The time hole is closing. Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot decide they'll take both of them to Primus, so as the fight is going on, they push the fighting duo into the time machine. They travel to the future. Master Serbian is waiting for them and is confused as to which one is the hero he seeks as the two of them emerge from the time machine fighting. As Skeletor attacks Master Serbian, Drissy, Mara, Captain Hydron, and Lieutenant Flipshot, He-Man saves them, and it's clear to everybody that Skeletor is the villain. Surprise, surprise. Props to every character not judging Skeletor by his looks, unlike me. As Skeletor and He-Man continue to fight, the evil mutants attack after getting through the shield. Master Serbian asks Captain Hydron and Lieutenant Flipshot to take everyone to Anar, the underground city, for safety, and he builds a shield around himself. He-Man defeats all the mutants, but Skeletor manages to jump into his pod, claiming to be a friend as they all retreat. He-Man transforms back to Adam and asks Master Serbian to keep his identity a secret because Skeletor can easily defeat him in Adam's form. Serbian then says to Adam that he is now his nephew, a merchant from the floating city of Levitan, and he will live in his home. Prince Adam swears to protect Primus and its people. Meanwhile, in the mutant mothership, Skeletor tells Flog that he wants He-Man just like Flog wants Primus, and forms an allegiance with Flog, asking him to teach the ways of this galaxy, and in exchange, he'll teach Flog how to defeat He-Man. 2. Quest for the Crystals. In the second episode, Skeletor plans on sabotaging the Trithusium generator, which is responsible for regulating the temperature of Primus and keeping it from overheating, running on Trifusium crystals that are found in Denebria's Gorn City. The only ship that's capable of making that trip safely is the Starship, which is equipped with a lot of weapons but was outlawed because Primus was a peaceful planet. Then we see Flog pointing out the cracks in the shield protecting Primus, while Skeletor and the other mutants are on the mothership with him. He-Man is introduced to the scientists and Werbon, a counselor, at the home of the council called Anar by Master Serbian. There are two robots present in this scene, UR and Gleep. Werbon instantly questions how one man can defend their planet, but before they can talk further, He-Man hears that Drissy and Kaz are in jeopardy and rushes off. Skeletor had asked Slushhead to take pictures of Primus, and Slushhead is seen listing more names of locations, including the Guardian Sea. He seems annoyed because he thinks it's too simple a mission for him. Kaz and Drissy are in the field and Slushhead spots them and tries to shoot them while singing a song about shooting them, which is a little psychotic in my opinion. Drissy and Kaz run toward a transport tube to save themselves, but Slushhead destroys it before they can make it inside. As he is about to shoot them, He-Man emerges from the destroyed tube transport and, using his sword, makes the Slushhead's laser ricochet and fire back at him, which hits his shuttle pod, and he hurriedly returns to the mothership. After this, Drissy introduces Kaz to He-Man, leaving Kaz in awe of what he just witnessed. Mara explains that the Trithusium generator that the mutants destroyed needs Trifusium crystals found only in the Gorn city of Denebria, and without the crystals, the planet would reach unbearable and destructive levels of heat. The starship is covered in vines as it has been unused for years. As they are making their trip to Denebria, they realize that Kaz is hiding in the starship to ride along. He-Man says it's too dangerous for Kaz to be there, but he doesn't listen, so he follows him to Gorn City with glee. He-Man enters a trading shop in the city and tries to use some Romdeal gems in exchange for Trifusium crystals. Meliak, a trader, says he doesn't have any crystals with him and that he should meet him at Shaft 13 in the Gorn City mines. He-Man says he'll be there. When He-Man, Kaz, and Gleep reach the shaft, He-Man is constantly trying to protect Kaz. Meliak arrives and says Skeletor will pay 1,000 times more than what He-Man offered him in exchange for He-Man, and tells He-Man to let Kaz go because he doesn't fight children, and he had a son who he lost to a cave-in the mines. He-Man easily defeats Meliak's henchmen, and then Skeletor arrives. Seeing Meliak failing at his mission, he infuriatingly uses his skull staff to throw Meliak down the mine shaft. But He-Man throws his sword in, which gets stuck on the side of the wall, giving Meliak something to hold onto and prevent him from falling, therefore saving his life. Meliak gets out. Skeletor says He-Man is no match for him without his sword and asks Meliak to throw it to him. But as He-Man saved him, he shows his respect by throwing the sword back to He-Man. The fight goes on, which leads to many crystals falling onto the ground. Skeletor picks them up, charging at He-Man, who then uses his sword to attach the crystals to Skeletor, making Skeletor fall down the mine shaft. He-Man returns to the starship with the crystals, and Hydron and Flipshot tell him they've named the ship Starship Eternia in honor of He-Man's planet, and He-Man is grateful to them for doing so. Kaz is allowed to drive the starship back to Primus. 3. The Heat. This is the third episode. The four scientists are seen bickering as they're trying to fix the Trithusium generator to no avail. Krex, feeling hot, asked UR to cool him down. UR, however, sarcastically freezes Krex up to the neck into a block of ice. He-Man returns with the crystals along with the other Galactic Guardians and gives them to the scientists. That's when everyone receives a report that Levitan is under attack, and He-Man and the Galactic Guardians fly there to save it. But they realize that it was just a diversion created to lure them away from the scientists, so the scientists can be kidnapped by Slushhead, and UR is left in a pile of debris trying to stop them. Skeletor tries to interrogate the scientists but fails, as they're too afraid and talking and bickering amongst themselves, so he frustratingly tells them that they're soon going to reach the Quagmire Swamp on Denebria, which is home to Slushhead. It has a repulsive stench, which makes me think how bad it was because it was considered filthy even by mutants. Back on Primus, He-Man and Gleep find UR, who can locate the scientists using a homing device, and they fly to Denebria and Starship Eternia to rescue the scientists. Slushhead is exhilarated to be home, and everyone marches to a location near the swamp. He-Man, Flipshot, Hydron, and the robots reach the mutants' mothership and set up a laser web. They'll all then try to find the scientists, but get trapped in a storm, and UR can't track them. The sorceress appears to He-Man to help him find a way out of the storm, and he uses the sword as a beacon and follows it. They find the scientists and free them, but Skeletor and the mutants are waiting for He-Man, and they attack everyone. The mutants are defeated, and this enrages Skeletor, who ends up threatening to harm Geppel if He-Man and the Galactic Guardians don't surrender. He-Man then reveals that nobody can go through the web they set up around the mothership. Skeletor doesn't care, but Flog interrupts and says he does, as it's his ship, and asks Skeletor if he wants to be stranded in the swamp. They let go of Geppel and return to Primus. The scientists take credit for defeating the mutants, which annoys Kaz, and he asks He-Man to tell everyone that he defeated the mutants. But He-Man says it's a team effort, and he just did his part. The episode ends with a scientist trying to freeze a pond and ending up falling into it because the ice cracks. Gleep tells them to check the thickness of the ice before they go ice skating on it. 4. Attack on Onar. In the 4th episode, on the mutant mothership, Flog is shown announcing that Hoove and Karate have managed to get past the shield. Skeletor then tells Flog his plan of using Wereban to lower the shield so that after Hoove and Karate have located the transport tubes on Onar, they can get there and destroy it. Meanwhile, He-Man is with Kaz and is asking Kaz to tell him more about Primus. Kaz introduces him to the Grot, who is the caretaker of the garden where Primus's food is cultivated. Just as Grot is introduced, Hoove and Karate show up. They are in the Terror Claw, a secret weapon of Skeletor's, a machine that has a giant claw attached to it. As they attack the garden looking for the tubes, Karate sends He-Man's sword flying, but He-Man breaks the claw with his bare hands. Grot arrives just in time and makes the Terror Claw fall to its side, forcing Hoove and Karate to fall back and return. Wereban secretly flies to Oasis to meet Skeletor, who had convinced Wereban that he wants to talk about peace and presents a shiny necklace as a gift. The moment Wereban touches it, his mind is under the control of Skeletor. Wereban then returns to the inner council where Serbian notices he's not himself and insisting that they should lower the shield. Serbian disagrees, but Wereban grabs the key from the Vasionic resonator and runs away. Mutants cheer as the shield goes down and prepare to attack and destroy the key so that the shield never goes back up again. Wereban is seen on Levitan telling a crowd of people that they will now have peace, and that's when the mutants attack and start firing at the crowd, which makes the necklace fall off Wereban, and he comes to his senses, and realizing the grave mistake he made, he flees to the Oasis. Geppel goo is then invented by Geppel to be used in the tubes leading to Onar to stop the mutants from getting through. Skeletor then finds Wereban and tries to take the key from him, but He-Man arrives just in time to save the day. Skeletor turns his staff into a fire-breathing monster to keep He-Man occupied while he chases Wereban down. He-Man figures out the monster's weakness, which is water, and slices open a nearby cactus, which ejects water at him, and the monster retreats. Skeletor is found by He-Man, but as Skeletor tries to attack him, he throws water at Skeletor, weakening his staff and forcing him to retreat. Mutants try to get to Onar through the tubes and get stuck in Geppel's goo, and Flipshot and Hydron further humiliate them by releasing feathers on them, making them look like chickens, and marking their defeat. 5. The Ultimate Challenge. This is the final episode we will cover today. So, in this episode, Flog is frustrated with Skeletor and his recent plans have failed. However, Flog returns to his happy mood when Skeletor says Flog will be the king of Primus and that all the previous events were a build-up for his ultimate plan. Hydron and Flipshot are fixing holes in the shield with the help of a new invention by scientists that help them pinpoint the holes. On Primus, Adam and Dressi are talking when a hologram of Skeletor shows up in the sky and challenges He-Man on the Cameroon asteroid for an ultimate challenge and then disappears. Adam rushes to Master Serbian and turns into He-Man after they agree it's a trap, but he is hopeful that it might end his battle with Skeletor. The scientists, in an attempt to boast, program the machine to do different things. Yes, the same machine that pinpoints the holes in the shield. The machine overloads and stops working. Skeletor is seen getting into a shuttle pod after giving a fake reassurance to Flog that he shall be king of Primus when Skeletor returns, but Skeletor intends to take over the Tri-Solar System. Flog is told to simultaneously attack Primus when Skeletor attacks He-Man. He-Man is contacted by the Sorceress and advised to see from his heart, as he has all the power he needs within him. Hoove and other mutants attack and destroy the main radar station on Primus. The Galactic Guardians show up to defend Primus while counterattacking the mutants. When Master Serbian is informed about this attack, he says the only hope is He-Man, who is far away, and the only ship fast enough is Starship Eternia, which would need 2 pilots. Serbian has no choice but to have Kaz pilot it with Mara, as he's the only person there who has flown it. As they leave, Serbian and Drissy are captured by the mutants who have invaded Master Serbian's house. Starship Eternia lands and He-Man is told about Skeletor's plans, which make him flee and teleport nearby. Skeletor then makes asteroids rain on He-Man, making him lose his shield and sword right before he orders Mara and Kaz to return to safety, who do so helplessly and unwillingly. Back on Primus, everyone is captured except Hydron and held prisoner, even Mara and Kaz as they return. Flog makes Serbian sign a treaty to make Primus's Flog's planet. Serbian says it's disgraceful that Skeletor did this in front of the Fountain of Freedom. Skeletor says freedom is such a bad word and blasts the fountain using his staff. As the fountain explodes and the debris shatters, He-Man emerges from it and sends all the debris flying toward the mutants, forcing everybody to eventually flee, even Skeletor. The Guardians drive the mutants away on their Bola jets, and the prisoners are set free. He-Man promises he will always be there for Primus and its people, and the episode ends. The show ends with Flog signing a peace treaty with Primus, and Skeletor and Krita, his love interest, are hurled out to outer space by He-Man, locked together in a spaceship. A forgotten treasure. Why the show deserves your attention. This series, though not originally loved by the fans of the original series, became very popular during its DVD release in 2006. Fans initially had a hard time adjusting to the change in settings. The storyline was different, but after the series found its feet, everyone who watched it loved it and said it was worth watching. The series' story begins and ends with a sense of satisfaction. The characters are funny, and Skeletor's sarcasm makes the show lighthearted after many heavy-feeling scenes. The show has interplanetary adventures and an imagination ahead of its time. It's a series packed with action, deception, manipulation, comedy, and situations that make you sit at the edge of your seat wondering what will happen next. I personally think anyone would like this show, be it a kid or an adult, and though the original He-Man series overshadows this one, it's a sequel worth watching. Marvelous verdict. Well, this is all for today, comrades. Leave a comment down below if this video inspired you to watch the series. Maybe if enough people watch it, we might get a revival series that will show He-Man's return to Eternia. Also, drop down your favorite character's name down below. Thank you for watching the video. We look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it. Until next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.